It was run one. It made 280 horsepower, 492 foot-pounds of torque.
What is happening? We're running a bit of a turbo clinic on this thing. We've got a dark side turbo, we've got the Bobby Singh turbo, we've got...
I can tell you.
Yeah, he can tell you. And what's the other one? 2260, I guess?
The other one's like a European OEM turbo, so it's a 2260 VK. The US car's got baby turbo. It was a 2056. For whatever reason, we always get the hand-me-downs. We sourced a brand new OEM turbo that came on the European cars. T-Peps is gonna slap that in. We'll start with that one. Obviously, we'll check it, do a tune for it, make sure it's all Gucci, and then we'll play with the other two, which are much larger, much bigger. Curious to see how they are, because this thing weighs, what, 4,500 pounds, and it might be quite laggy for a diesel. I'm gonna have T-Peps remove the upper boost pipe, make sure that's not clogged. This car has 285,000 kilometers on it. Make sure that's not clogged, full of carbon from the EGR, and then I'm going to have him pull the boost pipes off and make sure there's no oil in those, and the intercoolers are not clogged with oil as well. Probably flush them. Put that all back together and then swap the turbo. For anyone that might be watching this in the future that's thinking of doing a turbo, I would fully recommend you do the same. There's no point putting a turbo on it if your intake track is full of carbon. Basic maintenance is going to be needed at this point. This car is, what, 14 years old? The 09s are going to be 15 years old. They're going to have a lot of kilometers on them. Unknown history, unless you've owned it from new, obviously. Just good preventive maintenance.
Any oil yet.
Reese, what are we doing today?
Dynoing your Touareg. So the European 2260 VK is installed, and we have a tune flashed on the ECU. So we're going to run it on here, see how much power it makes. And we're going to do a comparison on the stage 2 tune as well. Obviously, it's not going to be apples to apples because it doesn't have a stock turbo on it, but we just want to get an idea of how much extra fuel was used. We'll do a comparison, obviously horsepower from stock turbo to the 2260 VK. And then once we have all those numbers and any revisions that we might want to do while we're on the dyno, we'll take it on the street, do some street logs, make sure everything looks good, and then on to the next turbo, I guess.
What is the next one? Do you guys decide?
The Bobby Singh turbo, I think. The dark side one is, from what we can tell based on the wheel sizes, is a little larger. So yeah, I think it's going to be the Bobby Singh turbo next, which I'm excited for because it's a lot bigger. So curious to see how much power that will make.
Yeah, I want to see what the difference in spool is, what we're going to have to sacrifice.
Yeah, so like even with this turbo, like obviously the European cars had this stock. You've driven the car quite a lot, right? Since I honestly don't notice a difference in spool really, but the top end power, it feels like it pulls all the way through the, the power band quite nicely now. Very curious to see what a bigger turbo does, because these are heavy beasts. They're what, 4,600 pounds. Plus you've got your roof rack and all your gear and your big heavy wheels on it. So like it's not a light vehicle, even though it's probably the world's fastest. Claimed, yes. I personally think this is probably going to be the best all-rounder, but I've been wrong many times, so we'll see.
How was that one?
That was run one.
Yeah.
it made 280 horsepower and 492 foot-pounds of torque. The all four.
What did it do on stage 2?
255 and 454. So
That's pretty good.
Big jump for an OEM turbo. We're pretty much wrapped up, done some logs, done the dyno, got power figures. Really happy with the results for this turbo. It spools basically almost identical to the stock turbo. We're talking like 100 RPM difference, which you really don't notice on the street, but it just keeps pulling. It doesn't drop off. It just keeps pulling and pulling, and then you shift or you let off. I think it's a really great turbo for a daily driver, or a great turbo for a guy that's running big mud tires like Johnny is, because it makes close to 500 foot-pounds of torque. Like, it gets up and boogies. Curious to see how the other turbos perform, but so far really impressed with this turbo, and I think it's a great option depending on what someone's looking to do with their Touareg.
Are we gonna release this one or like right away, or wait?
No, we're gonna wait. We're gonna do all three, and then we're gonna just release those tunes. That may change, but the idea is we're gonna release all three of them at once, and then they're all ready to go, and the customer can then choose. So what we'll do is, obviously the videos are going up live one by one. We'll do a wrap up of all three turbos, and if there's any questions, we'll do a Q&A, I guess, in that, and do what my personal favorite turbo would be, and then obviously Johnny's been driving it as well, so he can talk about how he likes it, driving to and from work and driving the kids around, and hopefully that will give people a good representation of what turbo they might want to pick. So, yep, keep your eyes peeled.